Jerry, if maybe I could just start that off. After we met with some of the towns on the event permit matter, the chairman asked us to look at the event law and see if there were some changes we could incorporate to address some of the concerns of the town. So Tim Hunt and Jackie and I met to go over it. And before you have a draft of the summary of what we're looking at and some of the items that we think we could address in the local law by an amendment to it. One being that we would change the name of the local law to include town roads or other town properties for any of the towns who might want to opt into the law, similar to what the 12 and 13-year-old hunting law was from the state. And we would then enter into an IMA with each of those towns to make sure that they would have the Lewis County AT permits applied to their roads, their open roads under the for ATVs. The towns, we all discussed that the current law having a 250 threshold for when somebody has to apply for a permit under the event law was problematic this year. So we broke that down, and we're proposing to break that down to it being a motorized event, which you have to get a permit for 50 or more, and non-motorized events would be 150 or more, so that small gatherings, a wedding or something, wouldn't necessarily apply. And we would still want to keep the discretion to waive that requirement, especially for small non-motorized events. We're proposing maybe changing the insurance requirement, especially for motorized events, because all those motorized vehicles have insurance, so we wouldn't necessarily make the sponsor have to hold another large amount of insurance unless it's a very big event over a course of a lot of properties. We also would increase the fines and break that down into a couple of categories, where a fine for not applying for the event permit for non-motorized events would be $50 to $500, depending upon how big it was. And for motorized events, the fine would be much greater for not getting the application in and the permit. It would be $500 to $1,000. And in addition to that, for a motorized event, we would want a $5 per each registered participant, and that money would go into a fund that would be distributed amongst the towns that are participating. So we gave you the draft. Our intention is to meet again on it, talk with some of the town highway supers who attended the first meeting we had and get some more feedback from them, and then maybe bring to this committee the actual amended proposed law for you to take a look at.
Joe, I have a question on the law enforcement part of that. So what you're saying basically is then that on a weekend when Lewis County has, let's say, upwards between 800 to 1,000 riders, which happens on holiday weekends, and there's not an event, but yet 800 to 1,000 ATVs show up, and there's 500 of them parked outside an establishment, because that does happen. There's usually a couple hundred, it could be as high as 500 times. I mean, Monty used to have, at least 300 to 400 ATVs, snowmobiles, anything like that, motorized outside their business. Would they be fined then for not having a permit for an event because you're gathering 200 and some or 300 people?
If they didn't put something on, because they're not sponsoring an event, they're not putting anything out there saying we're holding a poker run or whatever it is.
So that business, because they're open to serve alcohol and food, and they're attracting 300 or 400 people, they're not going to be held to have to get an event permit then.
No.
But a person who wants to have an event that would benefit the county already by buying permits, by going to the restaurants and the bars and tax and permits, right? They have to pay an additional fee for that, you're saying. They have to have a permit for it, correct?
If they're gonna hold an event, yes. Because the whole point of it, Sheriff, is so that we know what events are going on, and the towns know what events going on, so that they can call law enforcement, they could alert their highway people, they could alert EMS if it's a big event or something like that, so that we know what's going on. The permit fee application, by the way, is $20. It's not a big number. It's more that we want to know what's going on for any organized special event.
So in the wintertime, then, when we have like, up to 2,000 sleds on top of the hill, and I don't have the heads up on that, or I don't get, a chance to pre-plan anything for my, for our department. We just respond as needed or continue to do that, yeah, so it's kind of,
It's an event, if somebody is sponsoring and holding an event, that's what we want to know about. If a group of people just decide, oh, the weather's supposed to be great this weekend, let's go up snowmobiling, we can't really deal with that, except that law enforcement may be able to. If you're doing periodic patrols, you're gonna know there's a hell of a lot more people up here, maybe we need to have a couple more guys up here.
Yeah, so that's what I'm just saying, it's kind of, it's one of these issues, right? A little up, because.
But the more we know about scheduled events, the more we feel that the towns and the county can be prepared for it.
I would have to put a different outlook on that from the outside. I know if I was a business owner, I was planning events, it's more up to have that the county has a little more control over that event to say whether you can have it or not then. Is that a little more correct? In other words, they feel that, that the highway superintendent or that the county feels you don't have enough EMS or we don't have enough sheriff's patrol, you could say, yeah, you can't have your event because of that. Is it more of a safety, like a stopgap thing for that?
I don't think any of us are really trying to do it to stop an event from happening,
right.
But more so that we can properly address what's going to be going on the roads.
So,
like parking, like instead of restricting parking to one side of the road, so you're not blocking traffic, so emergency management can get through. It's just making sure that the ducks are in a row.
There's times, Sheriff, and you know this, you understand up on the hill. There are definitely times, the county population is 27,000. There's times in one day our population goes up 20 to 30% just due to recreational traffic.
yes.
I think it's absolutely appropriate that the county knows when those days are and can prepare. I mean, we've had some infrastructure get beat up over the last couple of years on some of these town roads because we didn't know when the events were, we didn't know where they were going to be, and we've had instances where we weren't completely prepared as we could have been, I think you might agree, with patrol and public safety. So knowing about the events ahead of time is going to help us. I think what we want is a sustainable trail system. I mean, you talk about the business owners, what's going to be good for them is if, all the landowners that contribute to this trail system don't get fed up and shut off their lands. We have to have, a sustainable system to keep this going, or else the whole model is going to fall apart. And from what I've been hearing from some of the towns, and Larry hears some of the towns, there's several of the towns that are about fed up. So we need to make sure that we are really keeping our finger on the pulse on what's going on up there, and that's kind of what the goal of this is.
Right, I agree with you on that, but that's not what they're fed up about, is not the people coming, it's where they're able to go and where they're able to ride. And that's different,
Right. So we should have patrol telling them not to go certain areas.
Right, when we know what they are, that's what we do out there. But I just find it very interesting because we used to have a thing called a mow-down, and like I said, once again, my manpower hasn't increased for that. We handled it for several years where there's up to 4,000 individuals with approximately probably 6,000 to 7,000 vehicles, including not just the people that participated, but vendors and everybody. And between myself, emergency management, Mr. Tiss, and those places, we did pretty damn good. And I know much of the businesses really benefited from that. And there was always complaints about, these guys went out and they, got high or they got bought dope and everything. And we did really well back then with the district attorney's office. We're confiscating a lot of drugs and paraphernalia and getting some excellent, reimbursements back from that, from the federal government as well. And that was really coordinated without a whole lot to have to pass another new law to have somebody pay a permit fee. I thought that was already in place because of the mow down. We used to have to do a study that the person had to pay a fee already for that. So I was just asking questions. I'm interested myself to find out the facts on that.
The
And,
key was you knew mow down was happening every year though, right? And
yeah, but we knew the
right.
mow down was done in because they came and called everybody.
Right, that's
And they had
what
to,
we're
and they had
trying
to,
to-
and they had to buy a permit too, Mike. They had to file for a permit, correct?
So that's, well, I don't know.
Public health
Department of Health,
permitted.
they did.
Department of Health, they did.
Yeah. But, so that's exactly what we're trying to do. You pay $20, you get your permit, we know when the event's going on, so we can prepare for it. That's all we're doing.
Bob, did you have something you'd like to add?
Yes, if it's over 5,000 people, they have to file for a mass gathering permit.
Right.
And prior to the past 2 times that they had it, they were over 5,000 people, so they had to get a mass gathering permit. So they had to get a bunch of people together, and that meant that I would have to sign off on the entire thing to ensure that there was appropriate EMS, that there was appropriate fire separation between the camping areas, etc. And the sheriff would have to sign off on that as well. In the past couple of years, it's been under 5,000 people, but as a courtesy, they reached out, and it wasn't a formal mass gathering permit, but there was an increased awareness of what was going on. So if that's the intent of the law, I believe that it's an appropriate direction. I'm just a little disappointed I wasn't even asked to come to the table on that. That's my 2 cents.
No one was, because the
And that
original
$5
was
fee, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know.
none of us.
Because I thought I could give some insight to it, that's all.
What happened, or why the $5 fee is there. Some towns had some severe road damage, and they don't have it in their budget to repair the roads 5-6 times a year. So that's what that'll be used for, to help them. Well, mainly maintenance of the roads that potentially were damaged by the heavy traffic.
The $25 fee you're saying?
No,
No.
Oh,
the $5 fee.
Authorized access, we have a $5 per person charge, and that money would be split amongst the towns.
okay. Are they do the same thing for snowmobiling then? Because I know there's also big complaints where they made ruts across several state and county roads too as well. That there's
For all
been things
events.
on-
All
All
motorized.
events, all motorized events.
So people coming to Lewis County will have to pay an extra $5 on snowmobiles now to ride up here too?
If it's
or
an event.
Just an event?
Event, this is an event.
Ah, okay, event. Gotcha.
Where
It's
somebody's
not per person,
sponsoring it.
it's the organizers who pay it.
So that's the update on that. We'll
And
probably be
I'd like
meeting
to
again.
add a stipulation to number 2, in that parades are exempt.
The only question I had, we were talking about
Are
foregoing the
exempt or
insurance.
waive the application fee,
Um,
because they still need to be notified. Because traffic needs
Okay.
to be stopped.
We'll clarify that.
From the fee.
we were talking about not charging insurance. I guess the question is if the sponsor has it and you put it on the personal vehicle, if you can't find that person, nothing gets collected. So if you put it on the person holding the sponsor and damage gets done, they can at least collect from. Am I wrong in that?
Well, so the sponsor, you're saying the sponsor's gonna have some general liability insurance
Well, sure.
to begin with, right? So
But
I think what we're gonna do, what we need to do is have some discretion here to look and see what kind they have, how much they have, and whether or not we feel that that's sufficient in the event.
there's something we can
Right.
draw on.
Right,
But not just tag, it's great if you can catch the person doing it,
right,
but if you don't, the damage is still there.
yeah.
And that's not gonna protect the towns that have the damage. So that was my only
Okay,
question.
so we'll look into that a little more too.
Committee, any other questions or discussion?
Yeah, how does this new law we're working on work with the Cheese Festival?
It's not a new law, we're just
We can revamping what we've got. How does that work with that? Because they, to my knowledge, they don't,
They're not on county roads, first of all, that's all state and village roads.
okay.
So,
Well-
I don't know
Well,
if
they
the
get
town.
here somehow, they don't walk. That's my, you're gonna have vehicles for the people coming to those. And I'm all for the Cheese Festival, I just bring it up so this doesn't throw a wrench in something.
I would say we're talking about adding towns who wish to be added to the law, and they could probably at that point make an
They can opt in
exception
or out.
for either opt in or opt out, or make an exception for a cream cheese or something like that.
Okay, good.
Nothing else.
Everybody satisfied with what we got so far? Any questions or further discussion?
There's gonna be a little more on this.
They're supposed to take it back to the towns and
Bob's
stuff.
gonna be involved too.
Yeah, let's send him a
Bring it back
copy
to
of
us.
it. So you're involved, Bob?
Well, Bob was involved in the original one. This is just amendments, and I apologize that you got left out of that discussion. Just, we were looking to, the towns had, rather than have 5 towns come up with their 5 different event permits, you know, we were trying to create an umbrella that everyone could sign on. I think that was one of the major
Yeah.
issues, and we weren't really readdressing the, you know, the basic picture. You know, not trying to change the law, but just add some exceptions. But you will be included.
Thank you.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know I'm not on this committee. You want us to take this to our towns. You want us to take this to our towns.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm
Now
just
or
checking,
later?
making sure.
you're welcome to ask any questions.
No, that's quite
Well,
all right. I
ask
won't
it.
ask you.
Greg, I will say that we've had one meeting with the town supervisors and town superintendents.
Yeah, I know.
Both of your towns were here,
Yeah.
and both of them were interested in signing on to a
And then,
countywide
yeah,
policy.
county policy.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely, I know. I was there, you know, they're still pressured. They're still asking me. And I said, well, it's gonna take some time, you know, it's not something you can
Right.
just snap your finger and change. So I'll take this back to them and let them look it over. But Terry Tiss already passed it. They passed it at the last meeting, their own event law. Because he didn't know how long it would take us to come up with,
No, actually, he already had it in the works before his town. It had nothing to do with him waiting for us.
okay. No.
I'm waiting to get sidetracked here. We're done with this, right? Everybody's happy with it?
Yeah, hope so.
So we're gonna send it back for further discussion with the towns and stuff? Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, are we ready for